Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're gonna take a look at the first legend team of the season, or kinda-ish, because here we're going to see the first player that actually kinda hit legend with Boom there, but yeah, right now Niantic screwed it up and they are not able to claim the legend. Like, as soon as they're going to be able to hit basically the next rank, they cannot progress. They're just going to have always an error for entering in this one, which is kind of funny. So there are some people right now that were able to basically surpass the 3000 mark, but they just cannot claim their battles, which is ridiculous. But we are, of course, not really too surprised about it, as we have Niantic here. But of course, we're going to take a look today at the team that they used to hit legend. They said that they went on a 15-0 with this team, which is absolutely wild, because this team, at least in my elo range, was not the greatest. I have to say that immediately here, but it could be also me, and it could be the fact that I played late at night, and also there were a lot of battles that were really close, where if I played it a little bit better, I would have been able to win this game. So I guess like it really depends on which elo range you're in, as well as of course like how you play it. For example, here I tried to go for a little bit too much and try to get up to the power whip there. So I went for the body slam before, but also it's currently at like nearly 2 AM at night for me, so I'm sorry about this. We're going to see the Sand Slash coming in here, which we're going to be able to use a shield against. Ice Punch coming through, going to get some, of course we can just get some damage with our counter here, double super effective, going to do some decent damage. I still have to build a new Deoxys. You see the IV split on the side, I always get like some questions, like some bulk points, break points, whatever. No, it was just the only Deoxys that I had available when I started PvPing, because every other one I deleted because it was the highest one in terms of the CP, because I didn't know anything about PvP. So I had nothing else to work with, so that was the main reason why I have such a weird IV spread on my Deoxys. Here we're going to be able to win this first game still, thanks to the Alola 9-Tails, and yes, this is a normal Alola 9-Tails. They also didn't run the Shadow as far as I know, so that's also kind of interesting, to be fair. Like, usually you always see the Shadow variant of it. Here I was using also then my normal variant if they used the normal variant. Of course, we're going to be able to survive something like this here, like the Hurricane, a little bit easier on this Pokemon. But of course, also our charge fast move damage mainly from Charm is not going to be as significant and like as damaging as before. Here I actually was already able to know what the opponent's team is, because it is the team that my brother built and now Zionic also showcased, which is Magnezone, Sableye, as well as Pelipper, which is kind of funny. And we're going to see here the Sableye coming back in. I'm just going to go for the charge move here so I can get the switch clock up, so I can now swap out into my Lickitung, which will be able to go for some charge move, just charge move damage in general, but also just some damage with Lick, which is going to be nice. You're going to get a shield from the opponent, which is going to be amazing. But also they can only go for the foul play, because if you take a look at the Sableye, you might notice they don't have the aura around it. This is not a purified variant. And I only realized it after I used my first shield, which is kind of silly of me as well. But this is just a normal Sableye, and again, I'm basically like before, I'm just using the charge move here in order to turn down the switch clock so I can swap out my Pokemon, which is definitely the way to go here, as they're going to be able to knock me out. But now it's a Lickitung against the Sableye, and it comes down, can we farm them all the way down with a Lick damage? We can, and we can now move on into the next game. Let's take a look what the next opponent is going to run here. We're going to see a Dragonite in the lead. This is going to be a very neutral one for us. What we're going to try to do is we go for a Psycho Boost and then dip. This is a thing why I like Deoxys so much more in the lead compared to any other position on the field, because you can just go for the Psycho Boost and then swap out, getting a shield advantage. Here, of course, we have to use another shield because they could go for the superpower, which in this case they didn't go for, but I can still just go for a body slam to get the final shield by the opponent. But they want to get the shield back anyway, as this could be again a superpower, and it's going to be just a Dragon Claw again, great bait by them. But I'm going to now be able to use a body slam against the opponent's Lickitung, which is not really ideal for me. Lickitung in general might be a little bit of a trickier one to deal with for this team. I'm going to be able to go for the body slam spam here still and do some decent damage against their Lickitung, but it's not going to be the prettiest matchup with either of my Pokemon in the back. So it is definitely an interesting lineup here right now. We're going to be able to go for the body slam, but as we can see, the opponent going to be able to knock me out here. They're going to have around like the 65% energy, basically, it's like 65% energy here. As we can see, a body slam coming through. They're going to swap out into their Dragonite. We were able to catch the move onto our 9-Tails, which is amazing here, of course, as we can now get the knockout against them. But now we have to see what they're going to have on the back. Can we deal with it? It's going to be their own Deoxys. And honestly, this is really bad for me because I don't have shields. I think if we would have shields, this would be a fine scenario for me, as we would do a ton of damage with our fast move, as you can see here already. But the opponent also places really well, going up to as much energy as possible, going for the Psycho Booster, which really surprised me. But if they want to swap out anyway, I guess this is the play to go. And again, if I was able to farm them all the way down here, I most likely would have been able to win this game. But also, again, my IV spread on my Deoxys kinda killed me the game here. So, next opponent, we're going to have Deoxys again in the lead. And I guess here again, my Deoxys IV spread is going to come in clutch in a negative way, basically. Because what you're going to see here, I can go for a Thunderbolt. But as my opponent going to go for that charge move, take a look at both of our HP stats there. And we're going to see that I am going to be in the yellow health range one fast move before the opponent, which means that the opponent going to be able to just win this lead matchup if they wanted to play it out. But no, they're going to decide to go into their Digger Speed, which was a great play by them. Being able to catch the Thunderbolt there is something that I cannot redo with my team because all of my Pokemon are getting neutral hits from the Thunderbolt. So for me right now, I'm going to just be able to go into my Digger Speed, into my Ninetales. Sorry, it's late. It's very late right now. So the Scorching Sand is coming through. We can still go for the full farm down. And we will see that the opponent going to swap out now into, most likely, the Ninetales, into their Deoxys again. No, it's going to be the Sandslash. So we have two Alolan boys against each other, which is, of course, a bad matchup for me. Here, I should have went for the Psyshock. Psyshock does more damage because Ice and Steel both resist the Avalanche, or like the Weather Ball there. Literally, that's so weird with all the names right now. Sorry for that. But yeah, for example, here the Psyshock is only single resisted, which is going to be a little bit more energy efficient against a Sandslash. But we're still going to be able to farm them all the way down here with my Lickitung, and I'm still going to have a shield left. And this is going to be nice because they cannot farm me down here. Like, they're going to have the wrong fast move in my opinion nowadays. With the Shadow Claw, I feel like Powder Snow is actually better nowadays. And this is going to allow us to just go for the Body Slam down. And they don't even get to any move here. Like, of course, they would have the moves already, but they try to farm me fully down there because it's their only way to win this game. But I'm going to be able to just knock them fully out there with my Lickitung, which is so absurd because Lickitung's charge moves are all resisted against Sandslash, and still it's such a dominant matchup just because Lick damage is doing so much, and they do no damage at all with their fast move, which is absolutely wild. The amount of Umbreons that I encountered in the lead here was also wild. I don't know if all of the battles are in here because I definitely cut out like 2-3 or something out of it, because it would have been just a little bit too long for, especially that late at night. But we're going to now get the Body Slam spam, hopefully, against them. What I usually do is, I don't know if this is the play to go for, by the way, I usually just stay in for a little bit with my Deoxys, go for one Thunderbolt, try to get them low, because like this I can at least ensure that my Lickitung is going to be able to beat them eventually. But of course, if we're gonna get completely hard-walled, it's not really that ideal either. Of course, also the opponent is now 2 Pokemon already that would have been weak to Charm, which is great because we have a Charm on the back, but we don't get the Charm aligned, especially as I'm going to swap out here, take the Ice Punches, as I know that I can still survive another one here, at least theoretically. But I make a misplay by going for one extra fast move. Again, I played pretty bad as well, so I wouldn't really want to put it onto the team itself either. So you're going to be able to still get the farm down here, but sadly they're going to have the Lantern in the back. And I don't think the way I played really mattered here, because Lantern is, as far as I know, even against the normal variant of the Ninetales, or especially against the normal variant of the Ninetales, just not really the best Pokemon to have here, because they're going to be able to resist the Weather Ball, but they're also going to outspeed me. Plus, their damage output of Spark is insane after the buff. Honestly, it is just so wild that they made the Lantern even better than before. It's just wild. Yes, Spark is a nerf for most Pokemon that are squishy, but for Pokemon that are bulky, Spark is such a great upgrade. As we also can see here in Go Battle League, a ton of Lantern everywhere, but also in like the play format, where I think Lantern is currently the 3rd most used Pokemon, which is even more, I think, than last time around, where this Pokemon, like where this Pokemon basically was not nerfed before, which is, yeah, showing just how the Spark nerf basically did not do anything. While a lot of people were complaining about it in the beginning, saying, "Oh, it's going to make this Pokemon so worse." I was always saying it's actually a buff for it, and in my opinion, it's definitely a buff on Lantern right now with the extra Spark damage. It's also so much more annoying to deal against it. Speaking of annoying to deal against it, honestly, I kinda found very specific hate against Gligar nowadays on my side. I just don't like to play against this Pokemon. It's just so insanely spammy. I always shield the wrong moves, as you can see as well. I think I shield the Aerial Ace while they go for the Dig here right now. Like, it's literally, I think, my biggest nightmare right now is Gligar. When I fall asleep, I'm most likely gonna think about this Pokemon again, but honestly, this thing is just always going to destroy me. I have no idea why. Like, it's honestly so difficult for me to play against it. If they go for Aerial Ace, I shield. If they go for the Dig, I'm never shielding. It is basically always the same. As here, at least I'm going to be able to go for the Psyshock, get the opponent fairly low. I can go into my Deoxys and go for one fast move there. Go for the shield, as I'm fairly certain that Drill Run does Drill Run more damage than Dig? I actually don't think it does, because Dig is going to do, I think, the same amount of damage in general, but it's going to be stabs, so maybe. I think it doesn't really matter, most likely, at the end of the day. Or does it? Because actually, as you're going to see here right now, the opponent can go for that charge move, and we're going to be at very low HP, and again, we're going to have a fairly unfortunate ending here, as you're going to have just 1 HP left on the opponent, like 2 HP left onto the opponent, so like 1 or 2 more counters would have been enough to win this game. But we can move on to the next one, where we have a very decent lead for me. And maybe I should have played this one differently as well, but I was like, if I go for the Psycho Boost, I get them into Body Slam range, and I feel like this is the safest play for me in order to realign, which does not really matter at all for this team, because Obama Snow does basically have nowhere to go. Neither the lead or the Pokemon in the back is going to be really bad for it. So, as you can see, right now we can just basically win this matchup. We have still the same amount of shields as the opponent. I can still even go for a charge move here. And I'm going to be able to hopefully go to another one. Yes, we do. Which is going to get the shield advantage for me, as they're definitely going to still want to keep around their energy here, which is smart, as we are going to go into our Deoxys, because we can just go for the Psycho Boost and Dip, which is currently one of the best scenarios that you can go for. But we're going to have the perfect Core Breaker in the back here. It's going to be, of course, our good friend, the Talonflame. I'm going to be able to catch a move here, which is going to be the Flame Charge for sure. And as you can see, I can actually survive it fairly easily, but the Incinerate, of course, going to knock me out basically when I would have got to the Weather Ball. It would have been exactly that slot where I would have got to the Weather Ball, but no, I did not be, was not able to get there, but I'm still going to be able to at least go for one Psycho Boost. Gonna get the knockout here, but the Obama Snow is going to get to another charge move here, and even a Powder Snow plus a Weather Ball would be enough here, but they're gonna even go for the Energy Ball, getting the overkill, and again, kind of unfortunate matchup. Like, you wouldn't really expect to see those Pokemon at all in the Great League, to be fair. Like, Talonflame is fairly rare recently, at least in my elo range, but then they completely destroy your teams, which is always awkward. Speaking of always awkward, the opponent here right now definitely did not really read the sign prior to signing up to this program here, because they went definitely into the Open Great League with a Psychic Cup team. So I'm sorry for you, but I'm going to destroy you with my Lickitung, which is definitely a great Pokemon to use against Psychic types. But it's actually going to be a little bit more of a closer battle than I expected it to be, because the opponent actually had great alignment for them most of the time. Here right now against the Lickitung, they actually made a mistake. I have no idea why they didn't go to the Malamar prior, because Malamar is the best answer for Lickitung. I was locked into the Lickitung. The opponent should have at least Superpower here, as they're going to go for the Foul Play, which is not really ideal either. Maybe they're running Foul Play and Hyper Beam. That could be the case, but even then still you would be able to have neutral damage from the Lick instead of super effective. So here we're going to rely still on our good Charmer, the lone Ninetales, being able to farm them all the way down with a Slowking. I still have 3 Pokemon left, and the opponent decides to forfeit, so I guess it was not as close as really you might have expected there after getting kinda bored. But we can now move on to the final game. We're going to see a Gligar in the lead, a Shadow Gligar to be fair, a Shadow Shiny Gligar to be fair, which is of course extra stylish here, as you can go for the Psycho Boost. We're gonna get the shield advantage, which is already fairly nice, which is the cool thing about the Deoxys. You don't have to swap out immediately, just get the shield advantage with a Psycho Boost. Interestingly enough, Psycho Boost is not even that great. Psycho Boost is a 70 damage for 35 energy, which is fine. It's, I think, a 2, yeah, like it's basically a 2 damage per energy, which is really decent to be fair. But you have Leaf Blade, which is the exact same amount of damage and the exact same amount of energy with no drawback. You don't double debuff yourself if you're on Leaf Blade. So it's kind of funny to see that this is basically a Leaf Blade, but that debuffs you, which is I don't know, it's kind of funny to be fair. Like, that there's actually a Leaf Blade around is though kind of wild. Leaf Blade is definitely one of the moves that I would rank really highly, just because it's like such a strong move. 70 damage for 35 energy, and you still barely see it because next to no Pokemon really gets this move, or like even those that get it are usually super squishy and it doesn't really matter. So yeah, Leaf Blade definitely one of the strongest moves. Psycho Boost, very cool move as well. Also very cool move by the opponent to run the Arctibax here in the back. But of course, that's going to be already it, as you're going to just charm them all the way down. We still even get to 2 weather balls here. So this final game is going to be it for it as well. Hopefully the people that are currently were able to get to Legend are also able to climb that one. But this was the first Legend team of this season. So if you enjoyed this video, feel free to leave a like, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.